Got this Toyota Avalon here. It's a 2002. It's here for clunking noise in the rear. So we're gonna go ahead and change the rear sway bar bushings and stabilizer links. I got in the car and I'm like, the interior looks kind of nasty. Specifically this steering wheel. I mean, look how bad this looks. Yeah, this is bothering me. I think I'm gonna give this a wipe. And there we go, I'm all done with it. Just a little quick cleaning, so I hope you guys can tell the difference. I'm happy with it. Had to use a little toothbrush just to try to get into the little crevices and things like that. And don't worry guys, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, alright? I made sure to clean my toothbrush before I use it again. So it's all set. Alright, so this side's going pretty good. Got the sway bar bushing off. Came off without an issue. And the stabilizer link again. Without too much of a fight. I absolutely love the mini ductor for doing stabilizer links because it gets nut hot. You know how it is if you start to loosen it, the whole stud wants to spin inside of the ball joint. But with this thing, as long as you get the nut red hot, it comes off most of the time. This is my go-to for doing stabilizer links. The only other option besides this would be like an oxyacetylene torch, you know, where you could really get it hot, because not even MAP gas cuts it. Sometimes I pull this out to try to, you know, be quick and not have to run an extension cord, but there's no substitute for this. You know what's got me frustrated and just really bothers me every time I see it on YouTube, and I think something that just needs to stop? The people who open up their videos with saying, "What's up guys, it's your boy." Just stop. Just stop. How old are you? You know what I'm saying? Just stop. And then the other thing is that everyone's saying, let's go, let's go. I don't know, man, maybe it's just me, but it's just very childish, you know, the whole "it's your boy" thing. And the reason why it popped into my head, I was watching someone's video on how to do something on a car, and this was a grown-ass man. This guy looked like he was in his 50s, and he opened up his video like, "What's up guys, it's your boy." I'm like, really? Really? Now I'm just talking shit. You guys know me already. You're not my boy. I don't even know you. I don't even call my boys my boys. You know what I'm saying? I can't even with the internet and with the e-web. I can't. On a scale of 1 to even, I can't. Okay. I'm just tired of living on this planet. I just want to move to a different planet. This one it's beyond repair. Just about done on this side. You can see we got the new bushing installed. New end link. So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock out the other side. It'll be all set. Got this Altima here. I think it's like a 04. I'm not really sure. I gotta double check that. But it's here for some rear suspension work. The left rear wheel is completely like this, like negative camber. Okay, and I went underneath it and checked it, and I'll show you guys what's going on with it. But another thing I noticed is this thing. This car sounds like crap when you turn the engine on. So it's a cold start. Let's go ahead and listen to it. It's a ton of noise. Don't know what it is. Haven't looked into it, and I probably won't because it's not here for that. Also, when I raise the RPM, I could just feel the whole engine shake back and forth. So let's take it into the garage and I'll show you guys what we're going to be working on as far as the rear suspension. Alright, so I got the car in the garage. Here's what we're going to be fixing. You can see how this rear wheel is not sitting right. Let's go try to match it up to this side. I mean, this side isn't perfect, but it's definitely, you know, not horrible like the driver's side. So what we're going to be replacing is the rear set of springs, one shock absorber on this side, and I don't know what to call it, so I'm just going to call it a lower control arm, and I'll show you guys what's going on with it once we get underneath there. This car has different lug nuts on it all the way around, and every wheel is missing at least one lug nut. I'll see here in the garage if I have something to replace that with. With the wheel off of the car, you can see how this negative camber is just chewing right through a tire. So this right here is the arm that we're going to be replacing, and it's not exactly straight. It's not bent completely, but it should be straighter than that. I think what's going on here is somebody once put a jack right there to lift up the car and just kind of bent the arm a little bit. But another issue is the bolt that holds it right there. That thing is completely loose, and that's kind of what adjusts camber on this car. So as soon as I took the nut and bolt out from right here, you can see the arm just kind of fell down. And look how loose it is. See, there's no tension on that bolt up here doing anything. And if you look on this side, you might be able to see that nut right there. You see the bolt and the nut move. I got the arm off, so here goes all the pieces for the basically camber adjustment. And I'm surprised it all came off. You see it's a little crusty, so I'm just gonna go ahead, hit it with the wire wheel, clean it up so the nut goes on it nice and smooth. Make sure to put some grease on here so it doesn't get stuck in the future, and put the new part on. I got the old spring off of the car, got the new one sitting right here, and I'm about to start pushing all of this up to get the lower control arm to align with the knuckle here. Hopefully it goes pretty easy, but so far this whole job is going a lot easier than I was expecting. You know, just looking at the condition of the car, how rusty everything is, I was expecting everything to give me hell, and so far it's been pretty good to me. I can't complain. I got the rear spring in with a little bit of finesse, nothing too crazy. Again, went a lot easier than I expected. So the final thing is to, let's replace this shock right here. Now, I've replaced these before, they're pretty simple. Giving that nothing crazy up here happens with all the corrosion, like none of the studs break off. And I knew I just spoke a little bit too soon. Okay, so far this bolt that goes through right here for the shock absorber is giving me hell. It doesn't want to come off, not even with my strongest impact gun, and you don't want to force it, you don't want to break the bolt. So it's time to heat up this nut right here and see if we can get this out of here. So I got this nut heated up right there. Oh, this light is just killing me. Okay, so that one right there, and I was able to break the bolt free from the nut, which is welded onto the shock absorber, but the bolt itself is seized inside of the bushing of the knuckle. That's opening up a can of worms, especially since we don't have a replacement bolt. If it ends up snapping, we don't have a replacement bushing. So if I keep forcing it right now and I end up breaking something, this car is going to sit in my garage for how long? So yeah, it's not worth it. Alright, so I decided to leave the rear shock alone. The only way I'm going to touch this is if we have a replacement bolt on hand and a replacement bushing. Well, that bushing is already destroyed. It's seized to the bolt, so it has to get replaced. So I wouldn't even attempt to replace this shock without having everything ready and being prepared for, you know, what is the inevitable. And as far as everything else, I got all the bolts tightened up. And as far as the camber, of course, I'm going to recommend that the owner takes it in for an alignment. But what I did is, since we had the bottom of the tire tucking out really far, which is negative camber, I pulled the camber in as far in as it could go, and we'll see what that does. Okay, so all of that's tightened up. I tightened all of it with the suspension loaded, so I had the floor jack underneath the lower control arm, and I had everything lifted up as high as I could get it, up until the point where it was coming off of the jack stand, and then I tightened everything up in case anyone is wondering. But yeah, so we're gonna leave this for now, and I'll see if the owner even wants to do this. He may say, you know what, just return the parts and we're not gonna worry about it. I got the new spring installed on the rear right side, so let's go ahead, pop the wheels on it and see what it looks like. I just realized this thing is missing a complete muffler, so that thing's completely gone. Anyway, it's the moment of truth. Go ahead and lower the car on the ground. Now, of course, the springs are gonna have to settle, so what we see right off the bat isn't gonna determine its real ride height. That is a massive difference. Of course, like I just mentioned, the spring's gonna have to settle, but that right there, I could already tell this thing's sitting super high compared to how it used to be. This car looked like a lowrider before, and I just looked through my video that I recorded previously, and I don't got a single shot of how low this thing was, and I'm just kicking myself in the head because now I have nothing to show you guys, something to compare it to. But trust me, this tire was like either like right here, or it was either tucked into the quarter panel. I can't remember exactly, but this thing looked like a lowrider before. It was like super slammed. So I'm sure the owner's gonna be happy with this. And another thing to notice is, remember our cambered out wheel? Well, at this point it looks like it's almost straight up and down. Now, of course, like I said, this thing absolutely has to go in for a wheel alignment. Will they do it? I have no idea. Probably not. Okay, looking at the condition of the car. That thing is no longer negative camber how we had it before. It almost looks like it's straight up and down now. Yeah, so what plays a role in that is not only that lower arm that we replaced where you can adjust the camber. So that has a large part of the job, right, as far as the camber back here. But also you got to figure, whenever springs wear out and the suspension sags down really low, especially how low this car was, what it wants to do is tuck that wheel in like this, creating negative camber. So when you raise up the height of the vehicle, you know, putting in new springs again, the car raises up and it also aligns the wheel once again. That's why the wheel looks completely different from how it was before. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm sure the owner's gonna be happy with it, and absolutely I'm telling him take it in for a wheel alignment. Alright, so from inside the car, what it sounded like to me was power steering whine. So we open up the hood. What's the first thing we see here? This is where the power steering fluid goes, and look at all the mess we have here. The fluid looks kind of low and it's completely red. I think that's just trans fluid someone put in there, which it's not too big of an issue. It's fine. So there's definitely a leak. You can see how wet all this stuff is. It's crazy. To me, it also sounds like there may be a bad pulley. I don't know what it is. Could be the alternator. Just could be you know, a regular pulley like the idler tensioner or something. But it sounds like there's a pulley that's spinning that's very dry. You know what I mean? It just sounds like a dry bearing spinning very fast. That's the kind of noise that I'm hearing from this. This car is a piece of crap. I know you guys hear me say it all the time, but honestly, I don't know how else to say it. You know what's funny is every time I work on a car, I come in the house and I tell my fiance, like, man, that thing's a piece of crap. She's like, I can't even believe you anymore because every car that's in the garage you say is a piece of crap. And I'm like, because it's true. I can't. Am I the boy who cried wolf? You know what I mean? Am I saying every car is a piece of crap that it means nothing now? But every car literally, I don't want to say every car, but if I say it's a piece of crap, I think I have a reason to say it, okay? And it just so happens that 95% of the cars I get are
neglected and malnutritioned vehicles.
It's a Kia, I don't know what it is, Sorrento, I don't know. But they said it feels like the front right wheel is gonna fall off. You hear that? Definitely feels like the front right wheel is wobbling like crazy. Don't know what's going on yet, but I'm about to pull it into the garage and figure it out. The steering wheel is shaking and it wants to pull to the left. And there's that noise. So let's go check it out. I think I found the main issue already. See that? Missing a big old chunk of tire. This whole thing has a titty on it right here, and that's what's causing this crazy sensation. It feels like the wheel's gonna fall off. It's because there's this giant lump on the tire. It's missing a chunk of rubber right there. That is about to explode. And then right here as well, you can see another chunk of tire missing. The other 3 tires on this car look like they're in really good shape, except for this one. She recently had an issue with this tire. She got a flat, so she went to a small, like, little rinky-dink tire shop, and they put this piece of crap on her car. You know, so this tire is obviously dry rotted, it's old, it's nasty, and look what happened to it. It hasn't been that long. I want to say maybe a month or 2, and look how it's just falling apart. Whereas the other tires on the car look like they're in great condition, so that one looks good. Over here you can see it looks decent. My recommendation at this point is just get a tire, a good tire. Found a spare wheel inside of the trunk, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the car and take it out for another test drive just to confirm that all of this noise and wobbling is gone. I checked other wheels on the car, and the oldest wheel I could see on here says 2016. The newest one, which is the front left side, says 2019. This one that's all destroyed says 2007 on it. See that right there. This tire should not be on this car. It should not be on any car. So I'm out taking this Kia for a test drive, and I could already tell a massive difference. We don't have all that shaking and all that noise going on. Yeah, so that's gonna fix their immediate problem, the problem of wide tear. It needs a new tire, a good one. The car still has other issues going on. Pretty sure the front struts are blown out. I could hear the stabilizer links clunking around, and when I get up to a high enough speed, I'm pretty certain I could hear a wheel bearing. but it's not here for any of that. It's here for this crazy wobble, death wobble, if you want to call it that, and it's simply just going to be a new tire. So it looks like the owner is going to want to go ahead and get the work done that I recommended to fix all the clunking noise and the noise we have while driving. So she's going to take it right now to get a new tire put on it, and then we're going to order a new wheel bearing, because to me it sounds like the front right wheel bearing is making noise, and it makes sense because that's the side that had the messed up tires. So that lump on the tire puts a lot of stress on the wheel bearing and could cause it to fail prematurely. So I hope that makes sense. We're also going to take care of the stabilizer links and a complete set of front struts for this vehicle. You can see the check engine light's on. The owner told me while it's here, look into the check engine light because I have to pass emissions in about a month or so. Sorry, I'm out of breath. Whoever thought checking a purge valve can exhaust you, huh? Here goes the code for the check engine light. Now don't mind the one on the bottom. I set that code myself. We only had the p0496. So what I did is I disconnected the hose off of the purge valve, and I could feel it purging. You know, it's got the vacuum and it's pulsing, but it never ends, it never stops. Okay, as long as the engine is running, it's always pulsing, which it shouldn't be doing. So the next step was disconnect the electrical connector from the purge valve. Once I did that, put my finger on the purge valve, and there's still vacuum being pulled in. So that tells me that the purge valve is no longer sealing. It's not doing what it's supposed to, because while it's unplugged, it's supposed to be sealed and there should not be any vacuum there, yet we still have vacuum. So that's going to take care of this p0496. So included with all the parts I have to order, I'm also going to order a purge valve. It's about a week later and we're back with this Kia Rio. We got all new parts for it. So we have a new purge valve to take care of that check engine light. We have a new wheel bearing, new hub, new snap ring for it, stabilizer links on both sides, a set of bushings for the stabilizer bar, and both front strut assemblies. It's such a nice day out here, and we got the little kid out here with me. She's blowing bubbles. It's just like the first nice day in a really long time, so you got to take advantage of it, and I don't blame her. Alright, so I figure I'm going to start with the purge valve, okay? And instead of just telling you guys the valve is bad, I'm going to show you guys. As you can see, I got my vacuum gauge out, and the purge valve is back here. It's difficult, and I can't turn my flash on because my battery is low. But you can see the hose is not connected to it, and the harness is not plugged in. So I can show you guys. It's right there. Alright, so it's not plugged in. At this point, we should not have any vacuum. So as you can see, we are at 0. I have not plugged it in yet, so here goes the other end. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on the purge valve and watch the needle. Super tight back here, it's hard to get in here. Look at that. Okay, so you can see, where am I? Right there. I'm now on the purge valve, and look at the vacuum we have, and it's still unplugged. We should not have any vacuum here. So that's why I'm changing out this purge valve, and that's why it's setting this check engine light. I've got the new purge valve installed. As you can see, it's sitting right there. The other hose on the back side of it is already plugged in, and the connector is not plugged in, so you can see it's sitting right here. So let's go ahead, set up the engine, and we should not have any vacuum right here. Alright. Okay, that's on there, and we have no vacuum. Try it again. No vacuum. So that's a fix. Just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, so I am moving along here. As you can see, I got the strut assembly installed on the front right side. I got the new wheel bearing pressed in, and I got the retainer clip put in there. That gave me hell trying to reinstall that. I had to reuse the original clip. The new one just wasn't gonna happen. This thing is way too stiff. The original one had a little bit more play or give to it, and I was able to compress it more than this one. This one's just way too solid. I actually broke my tool right here. You can see the two little prongs that should be on the end are missing, and it's not because they broke, you know, with all the tension of the new spring. It didn't break because of that. It broke because I was trying to modify the tool, and the tool being so brittle, it just snapped. So the issue I was having was that once you get this tool on the spring right here, it'll hold on it initially, but once you try to close the handles, because the prongs are facing straight out, the spring just tends to pop right off of it. So I figured, well, if I could bend in the two little prongs and get them to face each other just a little bit, you know, just a hair, I'd have a better chance of it hanging on there as I compress it. But as brittle as this thing is, and I expected this to happen, the little end just snapped right off. At that point, it's useless having one prong on it, so I snapped the other one off as well. And then I cut some grooves in right there and right there. And now that actually holds on to these type of springs or retainer clips way better. It's way less likely to pop off, and it's using this tool, modified tool right here, was the only way I was able to get in this original retainer clip, and it worked great the very first try. Like I said, I like 45 minutes messing with this one, and I just couldn't get it in. It's frustrating. You know, I look at these type of springs and I'm like, how do mechanics deal with these on a daily basis? Do they give you hell also, or is it just me? Or, you know, what's going on? You guys got witchcraft going on? Because unless I'm missing something, I don't know. If someone leave a comment below, I'm sure someone's going to be like, oh, you're doing it the wrong way, or there's a special tool for that, or blah, blah, blah. I'm sure, you know, I always get a comment like that. Anyway, it gave me hell. Point is, it's together. Retainer clip is in. We got the new hub right here. I just ordered a new hub instead of trying to remove the race off of the old one. It's a cheap part. At least this one is. Now, before we go press on new hub, I like to make sure it's actually going to fit the CV shaft. So I already test fit this one, and it goes on without any issues. Feels good. So now I feel confident putting this one on and pressing it on to the new bearing. Should be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I got the hub pressed onto the wheel bearing, and it's nice and smooth, no weird noises or anything. The old one was worn out and really loose. It just had like too much free spin in it. You can see this one, the second you like take your hand off of it, it stops, and the old one wasn't like that. Definitely a worn out wheel bearing. So it's all set. I'm all done with this Kia reel. Everything's put on, everything's torqued down, it's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and clear that check engine light right now and take it out for a test drive. I don't hear any more wheel bearing noise. I don't hear any more clunking noise, you know, like the stabilizer links and all that stuff. So it sounds good. I do hear like a belt rattling even when you first turn the engine on. It squeals for like a second or two and then goes away every single time. So I'm gonna pull it back in the garage and check the tension on one of the belts. Alright, so it turns out it's this heat shield right here that's actually rattling every time you turn the engine on, and it just rattles at different RPM. So what's going on here is the metal around each of these bolts, well, not each of them, well, you can see it's starting to rot out. Okay, these two top ones still have material behind it to hold the heat shield in place, but that bottom one is completely disintegrated and it's no longer doing its job, so it allows the heat shield to rattle. So what I'm going to do is remove that lower bolt, put a larger washer on it, and then clamp it down, and it should hold the heat shield in place. So I got the bolt off. I don't want to touch it. It's nice and hot. And this is what fell off behind it. It looks like there's a washer right there, but that is not a washer. That is just part of the heat shield, and everything else around it has rotted away, so essentially it leaves what's like a washer, but at that point it's no longer clamping down on the heat shield. So I hope that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is put a larger washer on, and it should clamp down the heat shield. Alright, so there we go. Got the new larger washer installed. See it right there, and it's actually clamping down on the heat shield now, because now if I tap it, it even has, I don't know if I showed you guys before, but it sounds nice and solid. Before, when you do this, you hear like a rattling metal on metal sound, and that's nice and solid now.